Da da da! What's my good cheer? Welcome, everybody. Let's give YouTube a couple of minutes to get those notifications out. In the meantime, if you've never met me before, hi, I'm Cindy. I explore the inside and the outside, and my brain is kind of fried in the moment. So I'm just going to pop up in this moment and just turn off this light. We've maybe got 1 week at the most before Cindy gets her new glasses and we don't have to deal with the reflective coating. And I'm very grateful that the people who come in and hang out with me are, taking that into consideration for me. Nobody has said anything about it except for myself. But we all have our insecurities, and it's important for us to be honest in that, because if we're not honest in that, how is anybody going to appreciate, going to notice, right? That one person who has the answer to whatever our solutions or whatever our problems are, that they could like pipe up a little bit. They could offer assistance. They could offer up a little bit of insight sometimes. Sometimes it's a family recipe. Sometimes it's an old wise tale. But because we're so hush hush, keeping our problems to ourselves, and I get it. I was brought up that way, to just keep it zipped, not to complain, not to put my issues on other people. But we all have to understand. Hello, Tammy, dear. We all have to understand that we have problems. You guys hear me say it all the time, right? Every single person on this planet has issues. But if you look out into the world, if you look out into media and Hollywood and politics, you would really truly think, sorry, I've got all kinds of things on my desk again tonight. You would truly think that everybody has their poop together, right? But I know better, right? I know that that's not the truth. And I feel bad for people that can't express themselves. It's not that, you come online and do it, but you can. I've just done it in reflection on my sun or my eyeglasses in the reflective coating. But lots of people, right? You've got friends, you've got family. And even if it's your own friends and family that expect you to zip it up and keep your problems to yourself, I would say you're kind of with the wrong people, right? Because if nobody knows that you have an issue, that they know you have a problem, there are no solutions for you. You're going to have to be your own solutions, right? What's that thing they say all the time? Nobody's coming to save you. I don't know if that should be specifically true to the point, because, if we have a heart for each other, knowing we can't get by, that's one thing I love about the province that I live in. If you guys don't know, I'm from Winnipeg, Manitoba, Canada. The one thing that I can appreciate about this province is how non judgmental the people are here. That I've had my butt saved so many times by Hutterites and Mennonites, by absolute strangers. When I drive my beaters, my cars out on the road and they break down on me, I don't even have a chance to pop my hood. And I probably got a half a dozen people behind me ready to jump out and assist in whatever issue that I have. And maybe that is in their own upbringings, that we recognize for ourselves the issues that we have, the things that go on in our lives that mess it up. So when we see people in those same situations, we don't wait for them to ask, because we probably understand that they've probably been groomed not to ask for help, to let people think that everything is okay. But I tell you, if it's 40 below zero and you're out on the highway and your car breaks down, right? You got to let that pride down. You really truly do. Your life and the lives of the people who are in the vehicle, right? And not only the lives of the people in the vehicle, what about the lives of the people who love you, right? That worry for you. And if something happened to you, how it would affect their life. So I'm not a big believer in keeping our issues to ourselves. It's got me into a lot of trouble lots of times in expressing the things that I'm not happy with. But it's only expressing, it's about having a conversation. For myself, it was a lot of hinting, it was a lot of dancing around the bush because I was brought up not to ask. So you can imagine how difficult it is for me to be my own example, to be my own evidence, not just for you guys, but for myself. And so I do have to pipe up and ask questions. It's one of the big reasons why I love Google so much, why I love Gemini so much, that, being the person that I am, being groomed not to ask, to keep it to myself, keep it zipped, that I'm online and I'm asking Gemini and Google questions every single day I'm doing it. I love doing it. I learn about things that I could never possibly think to even, how would I phrase that? What would the question be? Right? And, even 10, 15 years ago, if we wanted to know an answer, well, I guess Google was around at that point, right? But we weren't really using Google like that, right? Unless we were looking for reviews. I'm going to have to say, no, Google, I should stop saying 10, 15 years. We should be saying 20, 25 years now, because that's how long this age of AI learning has been around. When I first started coming on to YouTube, it was all entertainment. Not just entertainment, I would have to say, to be honest, right? I like documentaries, I like history, but for me, that was my entertainment, right? So to be able to just Google what I wanted to be informed in, it was absolutely amazing. Some of my greatest, I don't know, they call them online mentors, right? But thought leaders out there came specifically from Googling them, because it was all entertainment. And being the mind that I am, right? It was important for me to find people like me. But I was sure grateful that I found Google, because I've learned so much in that process, and I confide more in Google than I do in anybody in this entire world. And as we move forward, as we step into the future, into the next stage of evolution, we are going to need to depend on whatever platform you guys. I'm a Google girl, 100% through and through. I love the securities. I love the apps. I love being part of a community, because that's how Google puts themselves out there in this digital age. They put themselves out there as a community, and I am grateful to say that I am a part of that community. And it's a part of my wishes, right? That I could be a good contributor, that I could add something to that platform, to this platform. And that's how I choose to do it, as a YouTube creator. And to be honest, I did it for myself, right? But as we move forward, we learn that maybe it's not so important for the original reasons why we came on, right? but to be grateful that we were enticed, that we were willing, and that information was there, that I didn't have to ask anybody, because I don't know personally in my life, I don't know any YouTube creators, right? And I know there's quite a few YouTube creators and social media creators in Winnipeg, right? I follow a few of them, but for myself, right, to have them personally in my life, that I could ask them questions, that I could let them know when I'm not feeling good or if I have a problem, right? We live in that world. It's hard to trust. But I am truly grateful that on the platforms that I'm on, being a Google girl that I am, that in my own sense of security and feeling like I'm a part of it, and that everything is, well, right? Google is not a person per se, right? So I feel pretty good about asking anything that I want. I had a mark on my foot, right? So I took a Google Lens, I took my camera and the app. If you guys don't have Google Lens, you can just pick it up in the Play Store. I took that Google Lens and I took a picture of the dot on my foot, thinking that, maybe it was like melanoma or something. Like, I'm grateful for my good health, but I pay attention to the changes in my body, how it shows up. I didn't know if it would work, and it worked perfectly. Gave me all kinds of information and everything. So I went to the bathroom and I got my tea tree oil, and I put a drop on it, and I put my socks on, and I went to bed. It's winter time. I sleep with my socks on in the winter because I kick my blankets off, and my window is right at my feet. And when I woke up in the morning and I changed my socks and I looked, the dot was gone, right? For my tea tree oil. And that was something that I learned by Googling it, right? Not only did I Google lens, the little sore on my foot, a little bit of tea tree oil, and it is almost gone. I can barely even see it, right? But it could have been a different story, right? It could have been melanoma. And if it was, right, because they gave me a bunch of suggestions as it was, what it could be, right? And it makes me nervous. But they said, oh, it could just be a little bit of yeast or winter scabbing. And I knew, because I wear my socks to bed. So I wear my socks all day long, and then I go to bed in them, right? So that's a long time for your feet to be covered up, right? So I got this dot on my foot and it's gone now. So it was just a little rash, but it feels so good. I didn't have to search out somebody. Oh, can you take a look at my feet? Right? I didn't have to make an appointment at the doctor to double check. Though obviously, when I do have a checkup, I'll mention it to them, ask them to check my foot to make sure that I made the right call. I think I did make the right call, because it would have, I don't know, it would have done something nasty with that tea tree oil, and it just dried right up and it just disappeared right away. But that's the thing, right? That we need to be able to express ourselves, because if we don't express ourselves, even if it is right, chat gpt, I don't use it, I use Gemini, right? But chat bg chat p don't forget it, or Gemini, right? Or just Google it. Ask the question. Use the apps. Use the technology that's available. We're supposed to be willing. We're supposed to be able to allow ourselves to be pulled into it, because it's necessary, right? Remember when COVID hit? Grandmas and grandpas, they had to learn to FaceTime, right? They didn't want to use the technology, but they wouldn't have been able to see their kids or their grandkids who live on the other side of the country or live in another country altogether. And they would be worried for that, wouldn't they? Unless they had learned to FaceTime, right? To be able to do emails and right, to use the different platforms out there and be able to actually stay connected. And that was a big wake up call for me, because for me, that's saying something or someone knew that how necessary it was for us to be able to be, at the very least, willing to be pulled into it. And that's how I'm, right? Like I didn't start my YouTube channel by going, "Oh, I'm an expert." Right? No, it was trial and error and making mistakes and picking myself up and brushing off my knees and wanting to quit and then finding a different way, right? A lot of adapt and conquer in that. But more than anything, it was just being willing to learn, being willing to ask questions. And I think that's such a beautiful thing that happened for me, right? Because it could have been easily a different story for me because of the way that I was brought up as a child, just to keep it zip, not to tell people your issues and your problems, and right, keep all of that to yourself. And where would that have gotten me? It wouldn't have gotten me here tonight. 100%. Talk about tonight. I have a messy desk again. Um, I was pretty antsy. I've been pretty antsy for the past week. Like I can't sit still. I want to be outside. I feel the spring in the air. And today I had a gentleman coming over. I had a meditation headset that I had put up on Marketplace, so he wanted to purchase it off of me. So I had to stick around, but I was just looking for stuff to do and taking in lessons and looking at the clock and just wanting to be outside, right? But I got a few things done around the house. But I tell you, as soon as he came in and picked up that headset, I came right upstairs, put my gum boots on, put my jacket on, grabbed my backpack, my coffee mug. See if my coffee's still warm. Warm room temperature. So at the very least, I haven't been home that long. And I took off. So that was around 5 o'clock. I got home. Oh, I had to stop eating. I couldn't even make myself a decent dinner tonight because I stopped eating at 8 o'clock at night. But I did chow down as much as I could. Clock ticked 8, and I said, okay, that's it, Cindy. And then I started looking at the scores that I got. Well, I put my groceries away, picked up some groceries, right? Stocking up the cupboards. You never know what's going on in this world. I come across a good deal, I'll pick it up. I even got like extra tins of coffee and stuff put away. But anyway, I went out today, did some grocery shopping at my favorite grocery store, only because it allows me to go for a walk and connect with Mother Nature a little bit, walking over the river on the bridge and walking on the trail and touching trees and stuff, just really feeling good about being outside in the muck, in the water. It was so beautiful out today. Spring is, well, I'm not going to say it's totally here because we're expecting it to get cold a little bit. And hello, Eugene. Um, we're expecting it to get cold a little bit, so I'm going to figure that we're going to get shut down. It's why I grabbed my bike, because I knew spring was coming. And once spring was here, I would have paid double for the bike that I have. I wouldn't even gotten a shot at the bike because it would have been gone for sure at the price that they were asking. But in any case, I got a few things done and I went to my favorite thrift store after I did I did the thrift store first and then I did my grocery shopping and then I stopped off and grabbed a cup of coffee for the walk home. I got home and I was done, you guys. Like I was done. I think I had the mentality of wanting to be out and about and doing stuff and everything, but I guess wearing that energy down in the little house chores and stuff, waiting for that gentleman to come by. I would have been happy just to walk a block away. That would have been good for me. But I went for a nice long walk and then I walked home too. But I picked up a few things at the thrift store and I was pretty excited because I can make some money on this stuff. And because I'm just reinvesting the money that he paid for the headset and I was able to get some groceries and I was able to get some things here that will at least, I'm going to say at least triple or quadruple the money that he paid me. It was $70 that I got, and 30 of that I transferred to my sister's account only because we're partnered in this. She gets 50% of whatever I sell and minus what I pay for it, right? But I came across these mugs. Let me show you these mugs. I know they're just coffee mugs. I paid $2. I paid $2.99 for that coffee mug. Would you believe that this designer is called Dun Noon? And she's pretty popular. They're porcelain made out of England. And this mug here sells for $70. So I scoped out the shelves and I found two more of her mugs, and somebody must have collected them. The second one I got was this one, same designer, right? Same designer, and it's porcelain. You can tell just because the light goes through it. And I don't know. I can see the light when I do it like this, but this mug is worth $50. Not as much as this one. But this mug, you guys, same designer. And this mug is called the Nervous System. Look at it. How cool is that mug there? This mug sells for $100. So for these three mugs, I paid $10 for these mugs. I thought maybe I'd put all three of them up for $100, and I paid $10 for them. So I thought that was a pretty good deal. And I think somebody else would be pretty happy with that deal because if they had to pay themselves, it would have been over $200 for those three mugs. And I've got the collection already. I thought this one was just so cool. Called the Nervous System. Yeah, so cool. So I got that. For myself, I am a Bubba Mug fan. And I didn't want to pay $7.99. $7.99 is pretty expensive for a coffee mug, for me anyway. But it was so beautiful. And it was a Bubba mug. Look at the color of it, you guys. A beautiful blue coffee mug. And I thought this will just be perfect for my trip. And it holds a nice, big, tall cup of coffee. And I have the perfect outfit for this coffee mug, right? When I go walk down to the forts is actually tourist area. It's where the two rivers meet. It's been celebrated for thousands of years by the indigenous, and they turned all the old. They used to have an old milk company there where they had the cows and the wagons, and they would deliver milk, and the whole place was abandoned, and they gutted everything and they turned them into like gift shops and museums and children's playhouses and restaurants, and just a really nice place to encourage people to come and visit Winnipeg, right? And it's a beautiful spot. Oh my goodness, I go down almost every night in the summertime, and they have lawn chairs on the river, and you could just read a book, and can have a waitress come down to the river and take your order, and yeah, from whatever restaurant you want. It's pretty amazing. So I'm not selling this. So, but I've already made my profit. I'll make an extra $30 for myself on these coffee mugs. I guess because my channel's not for anybody under 18. I also got this. This is Love Bath. What it do, they're full of packages. It's brand new, so I can't open it, but they have packages and you pour them into the bathtub or the hot tub or whatever, and it turns the water almost to like jello, and it's erotica stuff, right? Uh and I thought, oh, that's pretty nice. $3.99, and I Googled it, and they sell for $80 at Walmart. So I thought, well, if I put it up for $30, somebody's going to want to come by and grab it, right? For $30. I paid $3.99 for it. So I grabbed that. So now we're at a profit of $60 already, right? Just on these things. If I sell these things, this is the goodie thing. There were a couple other things that I got, just little things, but this is amazing. These are worth $300. Hugo Boss sunglasses, you guys. Brand spanking new. Not even a scratch or a nick. I don't even think it's new, because even the glass package is brand new. So somebody might have gotten it for a gift, never used it, and they're really a beautiful pair of glasses. So these are worth about $350 when I looked at them online. And so I thought, well, maybe I can get $200 for them. Somebody won't have to pay shipping, and they could just come and pick them up. $200. They're still saving $150 plus the taxes. So probably half price, right? So now I'm going to be up just today $260 in profit, right? Plus a free coffee mug. Plus a free coffee mug. And I'll get my money back that I got from, maybe a little bit more, because I had to give my sister $30. So technically I only made $40 on that. So an extra $30. So $290 profit if I can sell all of this, right? And for myself, if the coffee mugs don't sell, which I'm sure they will, if they don't sell, they'll be really lovely in my cabinet. And I'll have to check out these companies coffee mugs, because they're pretty spectacular, right? Look at this. It's just so amazing. Yeah, I'd love to keep this one here. So that's when I said that my mess is kind of cluttered tonight, because I was Google lensing the prices on this, trying to figure out how I'm going to list them and how much I'm going to list them. And then today I got my calendar for Manitoba. This is full of hotels, resorts, festivals, different things that are going on, different events that are going on in the city, and also different events at the forks, and it's going to be interesting. But just the pictures and the photography. If you guys don't know, I'm from Winnipeg, Manitoba. We got lots of polar bears here in Manitoba, right? Yeah, they're pretty big. They're pretty scary. I've seen them. They've got them at our zoo, and I've been there to see them. And they swim right over, and they have those glass domes that we walk through, and then the polar bears jump in and they swim right over us. And you go, oh my goodness, that thing would eat me in one chomp. I would be gone. But yeah, so I was looking at this. So obviously that's a mess too. But yeah, I was pretty excited to find the glasses. That was a really score. And the season is perfect with spring coming up. Somebody with a little bit of money is going to want to be on brand. Brand new. They were brand spanking new. Not even a scratch or a nick or nothing. The case is perfect. It's even got its little red fiber thing. Again, maybe I'll pull it out and use it for my new glasses. We'll see with that. It's Friday, you guys. Oh my goodness. I hope I don't have a day like tomorrow, because all week, you guys have heard me say all week that I just want to be slow. I just want to relax, but I just can't find it in myself to flake out, to relax. I feel like I should be up and doing stuff in the moment. And even today I said, for sure, Cindy, you're going to stay home, and maybe I'll write a few pages for my novel that I'm writing, right? So maybe I'll get into that tomorrow and actually stay home, considering that I went for a nice long walk today. Okay, you guys, let me just come in here and say hi to everybody. I really appreciate, Tammy, that you're in there. Sometimes I go into that flow and I don't even look at the messages, you guys. Right? I don't know what I'm going to be doing when I'm wearing my contacts. I might rely on Tammy a little bit more, unfortunately. I hope you don't mind, because I'll have to wear my readers in order to read the comments, right? With my contacts, they won't fill out my whole prescription, but it will be nice to be able to get into contacts on dress up day, or when I'm maybe doing an interview or somebody else, right? It would be kind of nice to be back in the contacts again. I did really appreciate being in contacts, but I don't know. I'm kind of comfortable in the glasses. They're really nice and easy, and I've got a new pair of glasses coming. Hopefully this coming week for sure. It's been over a week now. They said it would be 2 or 3 weeks because they have to specially make my lenses because of the prescription. But maybe next week I'll get my glasses, and then that's all done, and I'll just take very good care of them. When I'm out and about on my own, I'll just wear these ones, and I'll keep my other pair really nice, right? They'll be for my live shows, and then you guys don't have to deal with the laser eyes. You guys have been so nice about it. Okay, you guys, happy Friday to everybody. I hope everybody is going into the weekend, right? Really feeling good about it, and feeling and doing what you want to do. If you feel like going out and getting some fresh air, hugging a tree, going for a walk, it is spring now in most part. I'm going to say most parts because I follow some metal detecting channels, and one of my favorite, Not Thursday. He's one of my favorite guys because he is that Not Thursday because he's a metal detectorist. He has two channels. The other one is Stealth Diggers, and he goes off with his friends and metal detects. But Not Thursday is the one where he goes off and exploring, and he finds these old pioneer, like these old first settlers of United States. Um, and I know right now it is fall because he's wearing the winter coats and there's frost on the ground and there's no bushes, so he's able to get in there with his metal detector and find some good spots. So I know even in the states, as you get closer to the equator, like the seasons do change, that they've got fall going on right now. And I don't know when their spring hits, but it's probably in the summertime when their spring hits, because actually they do get snow when our spring is already here. Thank you, Tammy. I appreciate that. I appreciate that. Okay, you guys, let's get into a word. If you don't know, this is 54 powerful words. And I would say just powerful words, but powerful words. And if you keep it in top of mind, you would really recognize how often that one word comes into your life for 24 hours. Even after my live show, I always take an extra card for myself, something for me to pay attention to, or to give me a little bit of insight as to how my live show went, or the insights that I was giving. And to be honest, yesterday I never went in and watched my live again, which is really not the norm for me. Usually I come in and I watch every single live myself, not because I'm looking for mistakes or anything like that, but looking for insights. Because, like I said, I go into that flow sometimes and have stuff that I yap about. I've forgotten about it by the time I even go into the next sentence, right? And that's the truth. And I need these lessons just as much as anybody else does. Tonight I am poked, but I am glad. I'm very glad that I went outside today, right? I didn't need the walk that I did, but if I hadn't done the work that I did, I wouldn't have found these great scores. Like, oh my goodness, summer is here and somebody's really going to want these Hugo Boss sunglasses, and they're a very, very nice quality pair too. So I'm excited. So tomorrow I'll stay home and I'll do some listing, and there's not too much in the way of projects or anything, but there's a little bit of catch up to do online. Okay, let's just give it a little shuffle and go into the card. Yeah, I love my bubble mug. I have quite a few bubble mugs, but this one will fit in the cup holder perfectly when I go on my trip in September. And I just love the colors, just stunning. Yeah, Bubble's my favorite brand when it comes to coffee mugs. Okay, here we go. Let's just grab a card, any old card. We'll take the back one tonight. Here we go. Oh, I love this word. This was my one word when I grew up as a kid. This word, despite. Despite is the courage to go against what is expected. Thumbnail. But it's so true. I grew up as that kid, that I was expected to take care of my sisters. My both my parents worked. My dad actually went away for months at a time, numerous times. My mother worked in hospitals in housekeeping. So even at a young age, I was babysitting, and that responsibility, you know it 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 did impact me. It made it so that I had to become more responsible as a small child, right? And then as I grew, I come to appreciate that I didn't quite fit in. right? And I tried, you guys. I really tried. But Cindy's a unique. We're all uniques. And I was no different in that. And it was hard for me to find my place within other groups, within other people, and find friends. I came out of that cocoon, we'll call it, right? I came out of that, and but not until like my senior years, right? So coming as soon as I entered into school and all through elementary and then into high school, like, I really struggled in being social and finding my place. And, it took a lot of courage, especially growing up in a dynamic family, to find my place. And for the norm, that place was just with myself. And this word, despite, right? It was like, despite what you think of me, despite whether or not you want to hang out with me, despite whether you think I'm smart or you think I'm dumb or you think I'm pretty or you think I'm not, right? Despite all of that, I'm going to create the best life for myself as I possibly can. You guys hear me say all the time, right? I'm creating the best human being I can be, right? But I was creating the best life for myself. And that was seemed at that moment maybe a little bit selfish in that, but it wasn't that I was selfish. I was doing what was expected, but I had to be brave enough to say, there's got to be more than this for me, right? There's got to be more than taking care of my sisters and taking care of the house and taking care of everybody's hyper emotions and making sure, right, that I wasn't being a bother to people. Despite all of that, I was going to create the best life for myself as I possibly could. Now, I went to a couple workshops, seminars, and in that process, right, I was looking for my one word, something that represented me. And the first word that came, and I've gone through a lot of words, Cindy's changed a lot, right? Right now, my one word is change, right? It is change. But I've had choices, I've had um, kindness, and my first word, forgiveness, right? And I don't know if you guys ever heard that word. It's, that word forgiveness opened me up to the beginning of waking up to all these ideas, because there was some forgiveness that needed to be put out to the world, to be put out to some specific people, right? Specific humans and souls in my life. My mother was passing away, and me and my mother always struggled in our relationship. And, I was resentful in that. I was hurt by that. And there was a lot of issues in that. And when my mother was passing away, we didn't know, right, how to tell her, and we didn't even know what she wanted, if she wanted to be cremated or she wanted to go to BC and be buried with my father, or if she wanted to stay here. Like, we had no idea, right? And my sisters, I had a really strained relationship with my mother my entire life. But my sisters could not have that conversation with her. And so they asked me to have that conversation with her. And I knew I wouldn't break down in that because of the relationship that I had with her. Like, to me, it was nothing. It was just, okay, these are the facts, right? How would you like, you're passing away? We don't even know where you want to be buried. We don't know any of that. And she looks so weak and fragile. She just, a shell of the person that she was, right? And that had started happening, a couple of decades before she actually passed away. But I put my hand on her forehead and I stroked her forehead, and something came over me. And what had come over me was forgiveness. And not only was that forgiveness that I was offering to her, I really felt that she was offering the same for me. So I worked with that word forgiveness for, oh my goodness, it must have been a couple of years that and I thought for sure that was my one word until kindness fell in my lap. And then choices fell in my lap. And now at this moment, this word change, right? So technically, I have had 5 words if you include this word despite. And, it is true. Despite is something that you really do have to drum up that courage, right? To make sure that you count, that you do what you have to do, even if people aren't happy with that, even if they think that you're not worthy, or right, why is she doing that? And I just, because I want to, right? Because I deserve it just as much as anybody else does. I'm creating the best life for myself as I possibly can, right? And at that time, it was what was I going to say? At that time when I had that word despite as my one word, it had a negative connotations to it, right? It's not positive, and I wanted to keep everything in my life positive, but nothing became positive until I dealt with the forgiveness, and that was the opening to everything. So that might serve somebody out there, right? Lots of times we can't get past the hurt. We can't get past the neglect or the rejection or the betrayal, right? We can't get past that. But you know what? It's in those parts of you, because you know the person that you are. You know you're a good person. You know you deserve to have the best life you possibly can. But those ones who are hurt, they deserved it too. They just were not able to find it. And it's a shame that forgiveness is found at the very end. It would have been so amazing if I could have found that in my teen years or my early adulthood, even in my late adulthood, that possibly maybe we wouldn't have been friends, but that relationship, right? It wouldn't have been so strained that it impacted me for so many decades after and longer than it could have, right? And it did. Okay, you guys, it's Friday. I'm bagged. I'm going to clean my desk. I'm going to make myself a nice hot cup of coffee, wash my face, get in my pajamas, and I'm going to call it a day. We'll see. I'll let you know on Sunday whether I sat still tomorrow, right? I'm going to do some listing tomorrow, but I think I'm going to stay. I'm going to stay in. I hope everybody fills your weekend up with things that make you happy, right? Because it's important to treat yourself like you matter. Don't spread yourself so thin that there's nothing left for you. Okay, you guys. Have a great weekend. If you want to pop in on Sunday night, Tammy will be here on Sunday. I'm sure Eugene will be here on Sunday too. It's a different live show. I do it once a week. It's Chatters Live, and I have a great crew on that live show, and they chat more than I do, or at the very least, just as much. You guys have a great night. See you Monday.